7 shadow dimensions and the origin of their dark chosen ones. Have you ever felt that strange chill in your life? That moment when you knew something beyond the ordinary was pulling you, shaping you, demanding you to listen. It is not madness. It is not coincidence. It is the quiet, relentless echo of the shadow dimensions calling you back to where you belong. The truth is simple yet terrifying. Reality as we know it is layered, not flat. And hidden beneath the surfaces we walk every day are 7 vast shadow dimensions, ancient realms of power, darkness, and forgotten wisdom. These are not places you visit with your body but with your soul. And from each of these dimensions emerge the dark chosen ones, those who are bound to carry fragments of that dimension's essence into this world. If you are hearing this now, then some part of you suspects you may be one of them. The first shadow dimension is the realm of silence. Imagine a place where sound has weight, where silence is so heavy it crushes illusions, lies, and masks. Those who are chosen here are marked by their inability to tolerate superficiality. They see through words, through excuses, through false promises. Often they are accused of being cold, distant, or detached, but in reality, they are guardians of truth. Their silence is not emptiness, it is weaponized clarity. If you find that words often feel hollow to you, if you crave the stillness where everything false dissolves, then perhaps you carry the seed of the silence within you. But here is the question. Are you brave enough to stand in silence long enough to hear what others cannot bear to hear?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The second shadow dimension is the abyss of mirrors. This is where reality itself fractures, where infinite versions of yourself stare back at you. It is terrifying because it reveals the lies you tell yourself about who you are. The chosen ones from this realm are haunted by constant self-reflection. They cannot escape the multiplicity of their identities, and so they are forced to wrestle with contradictions that others ignore. This torment becomes their gift, because once they stop fleeing from the fractured self, they gain the ability to mirror others with surgical precision, reflecting hidden truths and secret wounds. Think of the moments when you lock eyes with someone and they crumble, as though you exposed something they were hiding even from themselves. That is the power of the mirror chosen. But I ask you, can you bear the weight of seeing yourself in every stranger, of knowing that every mask you strip off in others reveals another mask in yourself? The third shadow dimension is the forest of hunger. Here, the trees themselves are alive with insatiable desire. Everything feeds on everything else. Nothing rests. Those born from this shadow are driven by a hunger that never ends. They crave knowledge, love, power, experience. On the surface, it looks like greed or addiction, but in truth, this hunger is the key to transformation. Because when they learn to harness the appetite instead of being consumed by it, they become forces of endless creation. They devour illusions, false structures, stagnant systems, and turn them into fertile soil for new growth. But here lies the razor's edge. If they fail, their hunger devours them from within, and they burn out long before their time. Let me ask you now, what is the hunger that has chased you your entire life? And have you ever considered that it is not your enemy but your initiation? The fourth shadow dimension is the womb of shadows. Imagine a place both terrifying and nurturing, a vast cosmic chamber where darkness itself births new realities. The chosen ones of this realm are marked by their capacity to hold paradox. They can carry despair and hope in the same breath. destruction, and rebirth in the same gesture. Their lives often look like endless cycles of collapse and renewal, deaths followed by astonishing resurrections. Others fear their instability, but in truth, these chosen are midwives of transformation for everyone around them. Their presence forces others to shed their old skins and step into new versions of themselves. Have you noticed how people's lives fall apart and rebuild after you enter them? That is the mark of the womb. But here's the question that cuts deeper. Are you willing to let yourself die again and again, to be broken so completely that only the truest part of you can remain? The fifth shadow dimension is the river of forgotten names. This is a realm of memory and oblivion. Here flow the stories of all who have ever lived, but most dissolve into nameless mist. The chosen ones from this place are haunted by memory, both their own and the collective memory of humanity. They are born archivists, remembering what others want to forget. Trauma clings to them. Ancestral echoes flow through their veins. This is both their burden and their gift. For when they learn to navigate the river, they can retrieve wisdom lost to time, healing wounds carried across generations. They are storytellers, keepers of what must not be erased. But memory cuts like a blade. To be chosen here is to suffer under the weight of remembering. So I ask, what memories do you carry that do not belong only to you, and what will you do with them, drown, or become a bridge for others? The sixth shadow dimension is the throne of fire. This is not a fire that warms, but a fire that tests, consumes, and forges. The chosen ones from here carry intensity that unsettles everyone they meet. Their presence is fire burning, undeniable, impossible to ignore. Some call them destructive, others call them inspiring, but in truth, they are both. They destroy what is weak and ignite what is ready to rise. Their path is brutal. Either they learn to control their flame, or they scorch everything, including themselves. If you are one of them, you already know. Your energy has always been too much for others. Your passion frightens, your ambition burns. But tell me, have you yet learned to aim your fire, or are you still burning randomly, not realizing the kingdom you could forge if you mastered your flame? And finally, the seventh shadow dimension, the crown of night. This is the highest and deepest of them all, where darkness is not absence but absolute fullness. The chosen ones of the night are rare. They are the visionaries, those who see the entire game at once. They carry authority not of force, but of presence. And to stand in their gaze is to feel judged by something eternal. These chosen are both feared and revered, for they embody the totality of the shadows. They can descend into silence, mirrors, hunger, womb, memory, fire, and return, holding them all at once. They are the kings and queens of the forbidden, but such power is not without cost. Their lives are often lonely, their trials merciless. And their question is this: will you dare to wear the crown, knowing it may separate you from everything human, or will you let it slip away into the abyss? These are the seven shadow dimensions and the origin of their dark chosen ones. But to know them is not enough. Recognition is only the first step. The true challenge is learning how to survive the calling, how to live with these forces without being destroyed by them. Surviving the seven, how dark chosen ones endure their own shadows. Knowing the seven shadow dimensions awakens a fire in the mind, but surviving them demands a discipline of the soul. Being to be chosen is not a medal, it is a burden. The shadows mark you, but they do not guarantee that you will endure. Many have fallen, because they mistook initiation for mastery. If you are one of the dark chosen, you will be tested every single day, not by the world outside, but by the weight of your own dimension pressing against your chest. Survival is not passive. It is an art, a strategy, and at times a war. The first strategy is learning to stay with silence without collapsing. If you carry the mark of the realm of silence, the danger is isolation turning into emptiness. Silence must be cultivated as a source of clarity, not as a refuge for despair. This means creating intentional practices, meditation, long walks without distraction, writing what you feel instead of burying it. Silence is not running away, it is standing so firmly in yourself that you no longer need noise to validate your existence. When silence starts to feel suffocating, remind yourself it is not the silence that kills, it is your refusal to listen. For those of the abyss of mirrors, survival means not drowning in your own reflection. The danger is losing yourself in infinite versions of who you could be and never committing to who you are now. The mirror chosen must learn the discipline of anchoring. Every morning, choose one identity, one intention, one role you will embody fully for that day. Do not let the 1,000 reflections paralyze you. Survival is not rejecting the mirrors, but learning to step through them with focus. Ask yourself, which reflection today will bring me closer to truth rather than vanity? The chosen of the forest of hunger must learn the razor's edge between feeding and being consumed. Hunger is sacred when directed, toxic when scattered. To survive, you must establish rituals of satisfaction, moments where you declare to yourself, enough for now. If you live endlessly in pursuit, you will become a hollow shell. Practice gratitude daily, not as a cliché, but as an antidote to endless craving. Train your hunger to serve you, not starve you. Survival here is about transforming your appetite into creative discipline. Channel the hunger into building, writing, crafting, loving anything that leaves a trace of creation behind. For the womb of shadows, survival is learning to surrender to cycles without losing hope. Collapse will come, destruction will happen. Your life will feel like endless endings. The danger is despair, believing that nothing lasts. To endure, you must see endings as the womb's contractions, painful but necessary for birth. When you fall apart, do not resist. Instead, prepare for the new version of yourself waiting to be born. Keep a ritual of renewal, a symbolic act each time you collapse, something small but deliberate, a new journal, a new prayer, and a new routine to remind yourself that death is never the final word. Those from the river of forgotten names survive by distinguishing between what must be remembered and what must be released. You cannot carry all memories, they will drown you. Practice selective remembrance. Hold on to what teaches, release what corrodes. Write your memories, speak them, give them shape, but then let the river take what is not yours to hold. Survival here means learning the balance of witness and detachment. Ask, is this memory fuel for wisdom or poison for despair? Then act accordingly. The throne of fire demands perhaps the most brutal survival tactic, learning to master your flame without extinguishing it. Fire chosen ones burn too brightly, and many die young in spirit if not in body. The danger is exhaustion, alienation, and destruction of those you love. To survive, you must learn rhythm. Fire cannot blaze endlessly, it must flicker, glow, rest, and then ignite again. Establish cycles of output and restoration, periods of intense work followed by deliberate stillness. This rhythm is survival. Otherwise, you will burn until nothing remains. And for the crown of night, survival means humility. When you carry the totality of all seven, the danger is pride. To believe you see everything is the fastest way to blindness. The crown chosen must cultivate surrender, remembering that even visionaries are servants of something greater. Survival here is not about power, but about humility in power. Bow to what is beyond you. Remember, the crown is not yours to keep, it is only borrowed while you breathe. So the real question for you is this: which shadow dimension presses most against your soul, and what practice will you take on today to survive it? Knowing is not enough. Survival is deliberate, daily, relentless. If you can endure your shadow without breaking, then the path ahead is not only survival but transformation. Because to survive the shadow is to become strong enough to use it. The transformation, how dark chosen ones turn shadow into power. Survival is the foundation, but it is not the destination. To endure your shadow without collapsing is admirable, but to transform it into power is the true calling of the dark chosen. Power here does not mean domination, nor does it mean simply overcoming hardship. Power means learning to wield what others fear, to make your wounds into weapons, your despair into wisdom, your hunger into creation. This is the moment when the shadow no longer owns you, you own it. And when that happens, your life ceases to be ordinary. It becomes archetypal, mythic, an example of what is possible when darkness is no longer denied. Transformation begins with perspective. Most people treat their shadow as an enemy. They fight it, suppress it, or project it onto others. But the chosen ones must do the opposite. They must embrace their shadow as teacher. That silence that once felt suffocating, it becomes the place where you can hear the whispers of truth no one else detects. The mirrors that once fragmented you, they become tools to reflect clarity to others. The hunger that once threatened to consume you, it becomes the drive to birth art, knowledge, and movements that ripple across generations. The womb that once crushed you in endless cycles, it becomes the cauldron where you can forge rebirth not only for yourself but for those around you. Transformation is not adding something new, it is reinterpreting what was already yours. The next key to transformation is discipline. Power without discipline destroys. Each dimension requires a unique form of training. The chosen of silence must practice measured speech, speaking rarely, but when they do, letting their words cut with precision. The mirror chosen must develop discernment, learning when to reflect truth and when to withhold it. Those of hunger must discipline their appetites, learning to channel obsession into mastery of a craft rather than endless consumption. The womb chosen must ritualize endings, teaching others that collapse is not a shame but a necessary stage. The memory keepers of the river must learn storytelling, weaving pain into lessons that heal entire lineages. The fire chosen must train in pacing, turning their flames into steady heat that builds instead of burns. And the crown bearers must train humility, turning their vision into guidance without arrogance. Each discipline is not optional, it is the crucible where power is forged. Transformation also requires service. If you attempt to use your shadow only for yourself, it will eventually devour you again. The energy of the shadow must flow outward, must touch others, must serve something larger than your ego. This is why every dark chosen eventually becomes a guide, whether they intend to or not. Their very presence reshapes those around them. A silence chosen can sit in a room and make others reveal themselves. A mirror chosen can expose lies without speaking a word. A hunger chosen can inspire others to pursue what they had abandoned. A womb chosen can sit with someone in despair and midwife their rebirth. A river chosen can tell the forgotten story that breaks curses. A fire chosen can ignite movements that no one thought possible. A crown chosen can see the pattern others are blind to and guide civilizations. Your shadow is never only yours, it is an inheritance you are tasked to share. And yet, the final ingredient in transformation is courage. Because turning shadow into power requires stepping into visibility. You cannot remain hidden forever. Power unused atrophies. You must be willing to show the world the fruit of your discipline. This is terrifying because exposure always invites judgment. That people will call you dangerous, arrogant, cursed. But the truth is, they are only naming what they see in themselves. Your courage gives them permission to confront their own shadows. Every act of bravery ripples outward, even when you do not see it. So I must ask you, are you willing to carry your transformation into the world, even if it means being misunderstood? Are you willing to embody your shadow not as shame but as gift? Because until you do, the world remains poorer. And when you do, the world changes not because you imposed yourself, but because you revealed what was already hidden in all of us. The legacy, what it means to walk forever as a dark chosen one, to survive the shadows and transform them into power, is already extraordinary. But the journey of a dark chosen does not end with survival or transformation. There is a final stage, one that few dare to step into fully: legacy. Legacy is not merely about what you leave behind when you die, but about how your presence shapes the world in every breath, every action, every silence. It is the lasting echo of your existence that continues to vibrate in others long after your physical body is gone. To walk forever as a dark chosen one is to accept that your life is not just yours, it is part of an eternal pattern, a force woven into the very fabric of human destiny. Legacy begins with embodiment. You cannot preach your shadow into others, you must live it so consistently, so unapologetically, that it becomes a frequency others tune into without words. A silence chosen leaves their legacy not through books or speeches, but through the depth of their presence, teaching others to value stillness in a noisy world. A mirror chosen's legacy is the countless souls who finally confronted their own lies after one piercing encounter. A hunger chosen's legacy is not their endless striving, but the creations, movements, or revolutions birthed by their insatiable drive. Each shadow dimension has its own form of embodiment, and your task is to live it daily until it becomes inseparable from who you are. Legacy also requires acceptance of solitude. The dark chosen rarely walk with crowds. Their path is too heavy, too unsettling for most. But solitude is not loneliness, it is sovereignty. When you learn to carry your own flame without demanding constant validation, you step into the timelessness of your calling. Your legacy deepens in those solitary hours, when you write the words no one else dares to, when you sit in meditation while others are distracted, when you choose to bear the burden of truth rather than the comfort of lies. Solitude refines legacy into something unshakable. Another dimension of legacy is the courage to disrupt. The dark chosen are not here to maintain the illusions of the world, they are here to dismantle them. Legacy is often uncomfortable because it leaves behind questions, broken systems, and disrupted traditions. But is that not what true impact is? When a fire chosen burns down falsehoods, generations after them live freer lives. When a womb chosen normalizes collapse and rebirth, entire communities stop fearing change. When a river chosen records forgotten stories, they heal wounds that span centuries. Legacy is not always applause. Sometimes it is resistance, accusations, even exile. But if you live faithfully, time itself will reveal your mark. And then there is the humility of legacy. And to walk forever as a dark chosen one is to remember that you are a vessel, not the source. The shadows are ancient, and you are only their temporary host. You will pass, as all do, but the dimensions remain. Your duty is not to own the flame, but to carry it well, so the next chosen can pick it up. This humility keeps pride from corrupting your gift. It reminds you that you are both essential and replaceable, both powerful and small. Legacy is not about becoming a god, it is about being a faithful steward of the mysteries entrusted to you. So I ask you, in this final moment, what will your legacy be? Will people remember you as someone who hid, who feared their own shadow, who left no trace of courage? Or will they remember you as someone who dared to walk through silence, mirrors, hunger, womb, memory, fire and night, and returned carrying a flame that lit the way for others? The answer is not written yet. It is written every day, in the choices you make, in the risks you take, in the truths you dare to live. And to walk forever as a dark chosen one is not easy. It is not glamorous. It is not safe. But it is meaningful beyond measure. Because when you embrace your legacy, you give others permission to embrace theirs. You remind the world that darkness is not the end, it is the beginning. That shadows are not enemies, they are teachers. And that being chosen is not about privilege, it is about responsibility. This is the path of the dark chosen ones, 7 dimensions, 7 origins, 1 eternal legacy. Now, the only question left is, will you claim it?